Apologizing to your kids as a parent can sort of feel like a bad idea. Like there's a warning sign going off in our heads. Don't show any sign of weakness or they'll devour you. In our minds, apologizing might feel like we're losing power or control. Or maybe we think that admitting we're not perfect will cause our kids to question our authority. Let's find out if these are accurate or not. Hello, I'm Cassie from Custom Built Parenthood. If you're new here, I have 3 kids, ages 7, 5, and 1, and learning about child development has just always been my life. From babysitting to my bachelor's degree to foster care to now being a stay-at-home homeschooling mom, it really is my passion. So if you want to join me on this journey to finding happiness in parenting and learning to understand our kids better, I would love for you to subscribe to my channel, hit the bell, and just let me learn from you and your awesome experiences. So saying sorry to your kids is hard, isn't it? It almost hurts a little admitting that we're wrong, especially to our kids. A lot of the time it feels like they're undermining us or disrespecting us, so why in the world would we be willing to give them the impression that we're weak and imperfect? There are a lot of reasons why parents should apologize, but today I'm going to give you just 4. Be sure to stick around till the end for a bunch of examples of when we might need to apologize and how exactly to do that. So reason number 1 is the golden rule. We're all familiar with this principle of treating others the way that you would like to be treated. So let's just say that your kid hit you, or let's say they're old enough to say something really rude and hurtful to you. Or maybe you have a young toddler who just checked their train at you without any warning and it hurt. How does that make you feel? And how do you then feel towards your child? I know for me, it really puts a strain in our relationship and it makes me feel hurt or offended. We'd probably appreciate our child owning up to what they just did and trying to repair the harm that they just caused. I know I certainly would expect and benefit from an apology from my child in all of those cases. So as much as we hate to admit it, these roles are reversed plenty of times. We as parents are making mistakes constantly, just like our kids are. And all those mistakes are having an effect on the relationship. Now we all know that as long as we're doing our best and are consistent and loving and we're just there for our child in their life, they will be resilient to our mistakes and should turn out just fine. But the fact still remains that the relationship becomes strained from mistakes on both sides of the street, from us and from our kids. So the golden rule is simply to treat others the way you want to be treated. If you expect or want an apology from your kid whenever they make a mistake, that then means that you owe them an apology every time you make a mistake. This is just basic respect from one human to another, regardless of age or relationship. Speaking of relationship, though, that brings us to our second reason, which is that we value our relationship with our child. This isn't just some random person that you owe an apology to. This is actually your child who you love more than anything in the world. On top of that, you're someone who is so incredibly important to them. The special relationship that you have with your kid is totally worth protecting. Don't you want your kid to love and respect you their whole life? Don't you want them to want to come to you with big, exciting news as they get older and experience life? So a fundamental change that I think has to happen in order to be apologizing to your kids as a parent is to see parenting as a mutual relationship instead of a dictatorship. We as parents want the relationship to benefit both sides. We want to have our love reciprocated, and that's exactly what our child wants too. So to me, valuing the relationship means that you're wanting to repair it when needed. You're wanting to step in and try to fix it if you've done something to compromise that relationship. So we're all lucky enough to be a part of this parent-child relationship, and on top of us wanting to protect that relationship, the third reason to apologize is to model good behavior. If you've ever wondered how to model good behavior, all you do is act the way that you're wanting your child to act. So let's say your kid loses their temper and hits their sibling. If you think to yourself, well, in a perfect world, I would love for them to recognize that what they did was wrong and say they're sorry and really try to make it up to their sibling, then that's what you should do in your moments of mistakes. When our kids see us apologize, we're teaching them skills like humility, responsibility, honesty, courage, sympathy, and ownership. We're showing them that it's okay to not be perfect. Nobody is. When we ask for forgiveness, it's not weakness, but actually strength and bravery. We're also showing them that repairing mistakes is totally normal and a healthy part of life. When we model this for our kids, they'll become more likely to come to us for help in the future when they make mistakes. So much teaching happening when we apologize. So I've talked about, number one, apologizing is just the right thing to do, right? The golden rule. We've also talked about how our relationship with our child will benefit from us apologizing. Then we've talked about some really positive teaching that's happening when we apologize. So now I want to put the focus on our own personal life. Reason number 4 to apologize to our kids is to be a happier parent. Do you believe me? Have you noticed that there's actually a lot of personal benefit that comes from apologizing? I would love to know in the comments if you have found this to be true, because I know that I personally have a lot more peace and happiness in my life when I can be humble enough to admit that I was wrong. It's freeing to let go of that pride and that need for perfection. I feel a lot less guilt for my mistakes when I own up to them and just get them out in the open, especially with my kids when it comes to my parenting. It really normalizes the situation and keeps my mistakes from seeming so dramatic in my mind. Aren't there seriously times when you're sure that you've ruined your kid forever because of something you've done? I totally have. So instead of letting these hang over our heads, just talk about it with your kid. I'm always surprised at how easy it is for young kids especially to not only forgive, but to naturally be so reassuring. It's totally fine, Mommy. That's what my 5-year-old always says to me when I apologize about something. And hearing their forgiveness really does make it so much easier to forgive ourselves. So we all need more of that in our lives, I think. Also, remember that list of positive attributes that we're teaching our kids by apologizing? We're obviously experiencing and benefiting from those same traits when we apologize. Who doesn't want to feel braver and stronger? Who doesn't want more honesty and ownership in their life? All of these amazing qualities that we would love for our kids to have, we should want those same things for ourselves. Why? Because we know that those traits mean a happier life. It's hard sometimes, though, to put the focus on ourselves in parenting, isn't it? Everything surrounding what we do as parents feels like it all revolves around our kids. We see all their needs, we feel that all their problems stem from them or their age or their stage, their personality or their temperament, when in reality what I'm learning, the further I go into my parenting journey, is that parenting really is so much about us. Parenting is our journey, not our kids' journey. They're on their own adventure, living their life. They're growing up and making memories and learning lessons, and don't get me wrong, we're a huge part of that and play a major role in their life. But at the end of the day, the only thing we have control over is our own choices. The more focus that we put on being our best selves, the easier and more enjoyable parenting gets. So those are the 4 reasons to apologize to your kids. Number 1, the golden rule. Number 2, we value our relationship. Number 3, to model good behavior. And number 4, to be a happier parent. So I think all of those are pretty compelling reasons, but when should parents apologize? Maybe we're a bit stubborn and actually think that we're always right. Or maybe this whole apologizing to your kid thing is a very new concept, so you don't really know what that should look like exactly. So here are a few examples to help you out. First one that comes to mind is if we lose our cool with our kids. We've all done it. I've got a whole video talking about this. I'll link it up here as well as in the description, but maybe we yelled, spanked, rolled our eyes at them, name called, whatever. It was not a shining moment and we know it. Were we provoked? Probably. Was it deserved? No. Really, none of that even matters. We made a mistake and now it is our opportunity to try to make it right. This is an important opportunity for an apology because our actions actually totally put a strain on the relationship. Any of those things that I listed or any form of you losing your cool really impacts your child and your relationship. So now let's figure out what to do about it. First of all, take some time to completely calm down your emotions. There's a reason why you did those things, so get yourself in a good place. Then go to your child and say something like, I am so sorry I yelled at you because I know that wasn't kind, and I'm really gonna try hard to walk away before I get to that point of frustration next time. So I do want to point something out really quick. Did you notice that there were 3 parts to that apology? Now, there's a bunch of different perfect framework out there for an apology, and I'm not claiming that this one's the right way or the perfect way. I just use it because it's easy to remember in the moment. It's why, because, and. I didn't make this up. I heard it on a TEDx talk, but it basically addresses what you did, which is the why, the reason you're sorry, which is the because, and what you'll do in the future, which is the and. So, I'm sorry I rolled my eyes at you because I know that wasn't very nice, and the next time you ask me a question, I'll make sure to listen without any judgment. So another time that I find myself needing to apologize with my kids is when I'm being too controlling. I feel like this happens a lot with me, and it's something I'm really working on and trying to figure out. What I've realized though is that there are plenty of times when I'm trying to make my child do something, and then I have to back off and own the fact that they get to make their own choices. Of course we have boundaries and consequences, but I'm talking about all the other stuff that doesn't warrant me being that dictator. All of those everyday things that don't fall under the category of it's my duty to keep you safe and teach you this. It's during these times when I recognize the need for me to swallow my pride, let go of my own personal expectations for their choices, and simply allow them to choose. I might have to say something like, I'm sorry I was trying to force you to wear your tennis shoes instead of your sandals, because I know you're a big boy and can make your own choices, and I'll try to focus more about my own decisions from now on. Or, I'm sorry I was trying to make you eat more turkey when you just wanted more apples, because I want you to learn to listen to your own body, and I'll try to respect your preferences more in the future. Now I know this one can be kind of a touchy subject. We all have different rules and different dynamics. All of our families look very different, but I can pretty confidently say that once we have a few healthy boundaries in place and are letting life experience be the teacher for our child instead of us all the time, the happier and healthier everyone and every relationship is going to be. Trying to control your child or make their decisions for them never ends well, just trust me. The other time that it's totally okay to apologize to your kids is when you're giving parenting an honest effort, but big shocker, you're not perfect. Maybe you're trying to address an issue, but nothing you're trying seems to be working. Maybe you learn something new. Some new information comes to your attention that points out mistakes you've made in the past. Basically, your child is suffering the consequence for the fact that you're an amateur and have never done this before. We've never been a parent before. We haven't handled this situation before. And so we haven't had that opportunity to learn and grow. It can be really helpful to point this out to your child and just have a conversation about it. For example, when my daughter was 5, her mouth was finally big enough for some x-rays, and they found she had several cavities. It was a total shock to me because we brushed morning and night, and I honestly had no idea that I was supposed to be flossing her teeth at that teeny tiny young age. Certainly I wasn't flossing when I was her age, and I didn't have cavities all growing up. But I did bring this example up in my failure video, which I will link, because I really did feel like I had completely failed my daughter. I felt horrible. And this was absolutely a time that I sat down and had a conversation with her and pretty much just said, I am so sorry you have cavities because I didn't know that I was supposed to be flossing your teeth, and we'll make sure to floss them every day from now on. This simple statement led to a great conversation that everyone makes mistakes, especially mommy. I love you so much, and I'm just doing my best just like you're doing your best. Taking this chance to apologize was really helpful to me to try to make amends with her and take ownership that this was totally on me. It helped me to cope with the guilt and disappointment that I felt with myself. And as a bonus, my sweet kids always surprise me with how quick they are to give me mercy and reassurance. There's nothing quite like giving your kid a heartfelt apology and hearing their lighthearted reply, "That's okay, mommy," or "No big deal." Unlike adults, they're not wanting to hold a grudge. And they don't feel superior to us. They just want to love us because we're their parent. How lucky we are. The older my kids are getting, though, the more often that my apology is met with them opening up with feelings of sadness or frustration. And isn't this a great gift to be giving our kids? A safe place for them to open up and to express their hurt and to truly feel heard and understood. We're certainly not apologizing so that we can get something out of it. We're genuinely trying to make it right, and we will absolutely have these conversations for that child if that's helpful for them. So, take more opportunities to apologize to your kids. Sincere apologies repair relationships. Oh, and as for the concern that your kids will question your authority if you're admitting your mistakes, just think about your opinion of somebody who always has to be right, who doesn't care about treating you fairly, and blames you for everything every time. We've all been in some type of relationship like this, right? Of course, they've never apologized to you. Do you respect them so much more because of that? Heck no! Am I right? We'll see you next time.